Wow. Very good evening, friends. At the outset, let me welcome each and every one of you. Very good evening, friends. At the outset, let me welcome each and every one of you. Very good evening, friends. At the outset, I'm sorry. Hope it is fine now. Well, very good evening, friends. At the outset, let me welcome each and every one of you for this special webinar on artificial intelligence. We have been doing this along with my long-standing friend, Sri Venkatarangan Thirumalai, for the past 3 weeks, and the kind of support, response, and the feedback is amazing and very encouraging. And not only youngsters, but also the range of participants starts from students, teachers, entrepreneurs, and also it goes up to senior citizens. Artificial intelligence is the age now. Today, we will take you through another interesting episode on artificial intelligence. We have with us Sri Venkatarangan Thirumalai, a Microsoft regional director. It's always a privilege to be part of any program and share the dais, whether physical or virtual, with Venkatarangan. He is also the founder catalyst. He enables and guides startup CXOs on their business and technology strategies. And most importantly, being an AI enthusiast, an AI expert, I always have a privilege to interact with him and also parallelly learn this subject as a domain expert from the finance side. But his in-depth knowledge on this technological subject cannot match with the kind of understanding what we finance people have. But every interaction, we learn a lot. Today, as the honorary Microsoft Regional Director, it will be our privilege to listen to and also interact with Venkatarangan Thirumalai on Microsoft Copilot, artificial intelligence tool. And what is maybe the first question which I want to kickstart is, how do we understand this Copilot as? And is it a tool? And how do we use it? And us as an entrepreneur or as a professional, what kind of enabler this Copilot will be, especially for the day-to-day use? Over to Venkatarangan.
Thank you, Dr. GK. It's a privilege and it's a pleasure to talk to your cohort of people. I learn a lot when I prepare for these talks, because different cohorts means I have to use different examples and different use cases and think whether how AI tools are useful for each profession, because AI certainly is cutting across disciplines, across industries. But then as an horizontal player bringing technology, you have to think how does it serve each of the industry. So it's always thank you for you to make me learn for your industry. It's a good question. Microsoft Copilot is one of the brand products of these AI tools that we call as large language models or generative AI, which you have been seeing. ChatGPT is the most popular one. Google has Google Gemini. Facebook Meta has an open source one called Llama. Microsoft is Copilot. It is based on ChatGPT's internals. It is powered by GPT-4o, GPT-4o preview, so on and so forth. But Microsoft deploys these models on their cloud, which is Azure, and makes it available to their enterprise customers. So you can think of it as the enterprise edition provided by Microsoft of ChatGPT. That's the easiest way I will put it. The second point I'll highlight is, especially for your audience, this Copilot tool from Microsoft integrates with your Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We'll try to see some demos as we move on. Other than ChatGPT doesn't directly integrate, but these integrates directly with Microsoft productivity tools. Third, these tools come with the Microsoft enterprise model, which again we'll discuss as we move on. So those are the three things. Lastly, of course, there is a Copilot free and a Copilot paid edition. The one I will be talking today is the Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is the one which integrates with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. This is roughly about $20 per month that you pay. If you're on an enterprise plan with them, this pricing might vary depending upon your organization.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you have been mentioning something called as it integrates with the Chat GPT and free.
It integrates with Word, Excel, PowerPoint.
So that is where that interest all of us who are hooked up today for this program, because especially finance professionals, we use day in and day out Word, Excel, and as a speaker, I use PowerPoint quite extensively, and we used to listen that this kind of tools can actually it can be a productive tool where more than 70-80% of your work, it can actually reduce it. So in short, it will be a productivity tool. So it will enhance your productivity, reduce your so-called time which you will be spending with the machines and keying of data. So we wish to listen to you. How do I begin the journey with this Copilot? And can you show us, maybe you are speaking about this integration of Microsoft Copilot with Word, Excel and all. So we are very keen to actually start with this and maybe immediately after this session, either we will subscribe to it for the free version or the paid version itself, and we'll start using it for day-to-day activity from tomorrow, from Monday onwards. So over to Venkat.
Okay. Thank you. Let me start sharing my screen. And just a second. Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Visible.
Fantastic. So that is the first thing you'll notice is this is the Copilot. It's Copilot m365.cloud.microsoft. Forget about that. This button is the one I want you to focus on. This green color tick mark. Yeah, green color kind of a shield. This says it's enterprise data protection. Of course, it's all English and jargon, but what it basically means is the chat and your interaction that you are doing here is governed by the same privacy policy of your other Microsoft 365 tenant. What do I mean by that? I have got OneDrive here. I've got files in this OneDrive. You don't want your files in OneDrive visible to rest of the world, or you want it to be absolutely secure, private and all that. We don't think twice because we know whether it is Google Drive or Microsoft 365 or Amazon thing or Zogo, it's all secure and private. The same security that you use for your file storage in the cloud or even enhanced version of that applies on Copilot. So the queries that you do here, if you ask a query, what is the GDP of India, for example, it's nothing confidential here, but this whole query and the data that goes through here is not used by Microsoft for retraining this model, or it's not going to be accidentally made available to anyone, nothing like that. That's what this shield actually says. So for those people who are worried, oh, I've got my client's data, can I use Copilot to analyze this? This is the reason why you should subscribe to the paid edition, because in the paid edition, you get this enterprise data protection. That number one. Number two, this also will be governed by the sovereignty rules of the country that you are present. Again, whatever applies to your SharePoint and M365 will also apply to here. Currently, some of these models may be outside India, but they are very much coming within India. So in a matter of time, these models may be available to you within India also. So those sovereignty rules also will get addressed. And you can read about them by clicking on this link and going on. I'm not going to be doing that. Now, we are in this, another thing I want you to focus here on, there's two tabs. If you're in the Chat GPT or Copilot Consumer Edition, you will only see this web. You will not see the work. Work actually means it's integrated with your OneDrive and SharePoint and all that. We'll see as we go along why it's important. The web is just like your whatever you have already seen in the other consumer free editions, etc. So the important thing that you will get, this web is the same what you get in ChatGPT or anything, but with the enterprise security. But the work is a specialized one, which we are interested in this current demo. Okay, so I'll show you a very simple example. We'll start with that example. Since we are in, I'm going to go to OneDrive, and I've got, since you are finance professionals, I thought I'll take a tax code. I have got a couple of files here. I've got Australia's tax code, Medicare levy for them. You don't need to understand this, but basically it's a tax code from Australia for what medical exemption you can get. This is file number 1. File number 2 is the tax code, tax rates for that matter, for the current previous year, 23-24. Whatever is the tax rates, we are very familiar with this tax rates. From what slab to what slab, what is the rate, what is the exemptions, not profit company, etc. So basically, I've got a couple of files here in my OneDrive, which are Australia tax rates and the Medicare. I thought it's an interesting example, and it's much more simpler, I'm sure, than the India tax code. Maybe in some other example we can try to do that. So what are you?
My next homework will be, I will substitute with this homework with the Indian tax code, and will ask Copilot to break the head.
You should. So the point I want you to remember is, I'm not taking, these files are available in my OneDrive M365, and I'm going to be using these files to ask the query. I'm going to put the query. So again, the point to focus is, this data is in my OneDrive, it's confidential. The query that I'm going to do is also confidential, so on and so forth. You get the picture. So I'm going to be creating a new chat, and this is the prompt. I want to save time of you seeing me typing. So what basically I'm asking in this is, read the attached tax rate from Australia, also their Medicare exemption. If I'm a US citizen residing in Australia for 9 months, the last calendar year, and I've earned about 1,09,500 from Australia, and I spend Australian dollar 5,000 for a dental treatment, what is my tax due? Can you prepare a tax statement for me and output it to an Excel sheet? This is my query. And one step I'm missing, obviously, I haven't attached the files.
Sorry to interrupt. So I will be giving a PDF, 2 PDF files. I'm giving a prompt, a user prompt. And very important is, how do I type this prompt? The English is very, very critical. And the output, the result, I am asking Copilot to give the result in a spreadsheet.
Correct. That's what we are going for. There are some catches, we'll see that as we move along. Now, but of course, very obvious is I have to attach the file. Okay. We'll go into this prompt. Once I show you the result, I'll dissect this prompt in a minute, so that once you see the output, you will be able to understand the prompt a lot better. There are a couple of ways in which I can attach the file. One, I can do /key, and it's going to show me the files that I now opened. Since I opened these 2 files here, it's showing up here. Sometimes people say when I do the /, it doesn't show up. So the trick is to go open the file that you got in OneDrive, just open it, close it, and it will show up in this pop-up /pop-up. So it's already showing up. I'll also tell you if it doesn't show up, what you do. Okay, let's first choose this file, and then I'll also show you what you do. So I've attached 2 files. I've given the prompt. What if you don't see this in the / key? Okay, is to press this attach key and use this upload button. Attach either cloud files or from your local drive, whatever you want.
Traditional way of attaching.
Correct. But the easiest way is to open it in OneDrive, so that it comes in this frequently used thing, and you can use it. It's all convenience, multiple ways of doing the same thing. And if you go in the /key, it also gives you people and all that. So you can ask queries about people and all that, which we will not see in this particular demo. Okay. So I've given this prompt, I've given these 2 files, and I'm going to ask it, While it works, notice that I'm not asking Copilot go to Australia thing and pick up the date. I'm not asking it to go to the internet. I am picking up the data from the internet and I gave it. The reason I'm doing that, I wanted to pick up the correct file that I have validated. Okay, we talk about hallucination and all that, right? These things make up their own data. I want to avoid that problem by downloading the file and giving it. It's a small step. Sometimes it will work. You can directly query it, but just to be safe, I'm doing it. Which also will give you an idea that you can use your own PDF, your own documents, so on and so forth. Okay, let's see the results. I hope it's readable.
Yeah.
But basically, it says to calculate your tax due in Australia, we need to consider the following. It gives the result. And then it says, let's start with the basic tax calculation. 109,500, dental deduction. Taxable income comes as this. And then it says these are the slabs. With that, it is calculating the tax. And then saying the tax that I have to pay is 24,429.50. And it says that's the answer you have to do. And if you see, it pretty much gives in a standard template that most of the financial experts will be giving this data to me. So that's an advantage. If I'm somebody new, I can do follow-up queries here. I can say, why is this? Why is it 104,500? Why did you do this deduction? Is dental really deductible? Can you give me the actual paragraph where it says it is deductible, so on and so forth? I don't want you to think that it's just giving you the answer. It's not a calculator. Use this more to learn, enhance, of course, automate your task, but actually expand the horizon of what you're trying to do. So ask it more, use it as your assistant or use it more as an expert, asking questions beyond what just getting the answer. Okay, which you can play around and try. It's given this answer. Finally, it said, unfortunately, I'm unable to create an Excel directly. That's a current limitation in Copilot.
Okay.
I wanted to show that these tools are not magic. Today, though they integrate with Excel, generating from this web page Copilot an Excel file is not in the capability. I'm sure in a matter of time, it's going to be available. Okay, that is one. So what do I do in this case? I still want an Excel. Okay, so there are multiple ways you can ask it to generate. Can you generate the answer in a CSV file? Okay. You know the comma separated file, right? You can then copy paste into Excel. This is one way of doing it. Okay. It's generated that. Okay, you can copy paste this in Excel. I'll show you one more mechanism. Again, I'm just showing you multiple ways of interacting with these tools. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to say, can you give me instructions on how to save it to Excel?
Oh.
Okay.
Save the
now it's giving you instructions.
Okay.
Correct. It's giving you instructions on how you can go about doing it.
Okay.
Okay.
So it is an intelligent tax assistant for me then.
And also it will help you do this task in Excel. For example, if you don't know how to do pie chart is a simple example. All of us are familiar. But some other advanced calculation in Excel, you don't know how to do. You don't need to Google, find the answer. You watch a YouTube video and all that. Directly ask here. It'll be able to automate some of them. When you find it can't, you can ask it to give the instruction and you can do it yourself. That's the point I want to drive. Okay, so this is the one that it's able to do, and we can interact more with this.
Wonderful. So Venkat, that's an amazing way of connecting Copilot with the day-to-day professional requirement of a chartered accountant. I will go one more step ahead. Can Copilot also, you have given me some examples about Excel and how we can do it. How about PowerPoint? I have only certain pointers. So I understand last time you had taken some notes from a particular program, and you asked the tool to convert that into a blog page. Now, very similarly, I will have, I need a 10 PPT or a 20 PPT. I may give only certain pointers or only topic alone if I give. Will it be possible for the tool to generate a PowerPoint presentable? with illustrations, with the photographs. Can I give the prompt like that, that user prompt? Now, I also want to understand the prompt what you give. So what as a user we give. And the prompt, will that prompt be digested and will it give it in a different prompt, like what we call it as a modified prompt for the machine? Will the entire prompt will be dissected into various parts and commands will be given? So I understand you were mentioning about this LLM. So can you?
Okay, so there are a couple of things. Okay, let me break down one by one. Let's just take the first one. When I said this prompt, I told you I'll talk about it a little later. This is the prompt, but if you focus here, there are a couple of elements here. I've talked about it in our previous podcast as well. I'm giving it the context. I'm not saying here is a file and just throw it to that, though it will figure out it's an Australian tax code. I'm telling it explicitly it's an attached tax rate from Australia, also their Medicare exemption. I'm giving it more information. I'm a US citizen and data. Now, you can also ask Copilot to modify this prompt. Here is a draft of a prompt I have written. Can you improve it? And I can give this prompt. Now you will see Copilot rewriting this prompt better. More elaborate with clear instructions. You will find the prompt that comes as more elaborate. It says what is the steps that you have to do, etc. So this becomes a larger prompt that you can actually give it. So you can use these tools itself to write the prompts better if you don't know how to write it. Okay, that is number one. Wonderful. Okay, in this example, it didn't do because my prompt, I have probably written the prompt very well already. But you can ask it to write these prompts very well also. That is one. I'll go to this word example that you were talking about. I've got this wedding schedule, the PowerPoint example you asked. I have an Excel example which I can show later. This is a Word document I've got. It's a tentative plan of a wedding, Islamic wedding in Dubai, a schedule, just a wedding planner data, some template from the internet. So there are 4 days of this wedding happening, etc. So find out there is some information, some schedule. I want to create a PowerPoint slide out of this so that I can send it in WhatsApp to all the wedding invitees. Okay. So now I'm going to be stop this and share my PowerPoint. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. Let me share PowerPoint. Okay. One second. Yeah. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is now call up this Copilot. Now, this is an interesting thing that you will see. If you have this paid version of the Copilot that I'm talking about, you will get this button in your Excel, Word, PowerPoint. Otherwise, you won't get it. That is one of the reasons why we need to go for the multicolor.
That multicolor.
Correct. This one.
Yeah.
Okay. Which means Copilot is now integrated with your PowerPoint. Similarly, in Excel, Word, we'll try to see it later. Now, what I'm going to do is come to this prompt and say, do the same thing, kind of attach this file and do this. So it will be a little difficult for you to read it, but basically I'll try to read it for you. Okay. I'm saying here is a wedding schedule. Please generate a PowerPoint invitation for the same. And I'm attaching the file. In this case, I put slash and it came up automatically because we just opened the file in Word, right? So it is frequently used one has come, recently used one has come here. So it's going through the wedding schedule and then going to generate a PowerPoint slide for you. I'll also show you one that it generated before. While it generates, we'll see a already prepared one. This is a one that it generated a few minutes before when I did the same prompt. Okay, create a PowerPoint from this, and it's done this. See how beautifully, professionally it is done. In just a matter of a prompt. From a Word document, it's able to generate this PowerPoint slide for you. okay, with some interesting pictures and all that. And you can use the designer to go ahead and customize this as well if you wish you want to change it. Okay. Now,
Wow.
that is the one which is generated, same prompt, same file, what is generated a few minutes before. And for the prompt that we gave just now, see the one that it has generated now.
Okay.
A different
Oh,
one.
yeah, wow.
Okay. These are two different ones for the same prompt, same data. So that is the one you have to remember with Copilot, because these things are not deterministic. They are
Okay.
probabilistic.
Okay.
So I cannot be, until I show you the screen, I can't be sure on what is the output. Hopefully the output is good, but then it is always statistically, probabilistic.
I think the version 2 is much better than the first version.
Okay, that is subjective. Anyway, you get the idea. You have a PDF or you have a Word document, you want to generate PowerPoint, you can. The last point I want to highlight here, if you use the designer here, you can go ahead and customize it. You don't like this, you can change. So it's not something, these tools are not yet there where the output that it gives you can directly go and present. You might want to tweak it a bit for your satisfaction, and maybe even do some corrections if you need to.
Well, Venkat, that's really awesome, and I'm falling in love with Copilot. Now, I will go one step ahead. I'm a professional and also an entrepreneur. I want to start an enterprise, a new company, and whether Copilot can help me as a co-professional in guiding me in incorporating an enterprise, applying for a PAN, getting a GST, so knowing my rates for my product. So many. I want to put many questions. As an entrepreneur, I will have n number of questions on tax, on opening bank account, take funding. So many aspects. So will Copilot will support me?
Yes, I'll show you. Since we covered PowerPoint, I should show you Excel also. In Excel, let me share that screen and come here. Okay, the idea of it advising, it's still not there, but I like what you're thinking. Okay, so this is my Excel thing. Can you see the Excel?
Yes, now it's right. Now it's clear.
Okay, I've got some dummy data, actually correct data, which I took a couple of years back on the revenue for Infosys, TCS, Emphasis, Zensar. No particular reason why, just randomly I wanted something live examples which will be interesting to watch. They're not current year, 2 years old data. And I've calculated revenue per employee, number of employees, and all the typical things that we use in services industry. And I'm calling this Copilot again from Excel, and I'm going to use a prompt. Okay, so I'll read out the prompt once I paste it here. I'm saying here is an Excel with data from India's top software service industry, revenue in FY23. Based on the data, can you advise me which company is doing well in terms of dollar, and can I invest in them? Okay, and it's giving some results for me. It's saying the top company by revenue is TCS, obviously. Okay, and it's saying the sum of revenue in billions is so much, and it says it's doing well. So based on data, TCS is doing well in dollar terms. However, for investment advice, please consult a financial advisor. So it's able to go through this data and then tell me. Of course, I could have deleted all this also and asked it. It could have still, of course, I should have taken out these two data and still asked the query. It would have been able to do it. But I wanted to keep it here so that we can validate what it's telling us. Now, this is one way of you to use this. I caution, or I'll tell you a asterisk here. You can't open any Excel file and ask Copilot to launch. The Copilot will work on Excel data only if it is stored on OneDrive. Okay, that is the most important, because only then it can apply the enterprise permissions for it. We started with the privacy, right?
So you were mentioning about the security and sovereignty laws. Okay,
correct. So the data has to reside in OneDrive or SharePoint, and the Copilot can then fire up and do it. Okay, we'll look at a slightly different example. Okay, we'll close this. Okay, I'll go back to my Copilot again.
We will have the last 5 minutes, Venkat.
Yeah, sure. This is, I'll show you one example here, and then I'll This is a more complicated Excel I've got. No, I'll show the other one. Okay. For this, assuming this is a proposal I've given for a company, a new initiative, a startup. Okay. Let me zoom it a bit. Okay. And then various employees, what is the cost? What is the cost per employee, total per month, etc. These are your expenses basically. And then I've got income.
Can you share the screen? Can you share?
Oh, sorry. You're not able to see it?
No.
Oh, okay. 1 second. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it visible? Okay. So basically what I've got here is expenses for a new startup, assuming, again in software services, various employee roles, the expenses, marketing expense, sales commission, rent, etc. And I've got possible income for projects. Okay, in two methods, one in time and material, one in project, basically income. I want to ask Copilot, is this a viable startup for me? Okay, let me do that. In this case, I'm not going to be launching the Copilot here. I'm going to be calling it from the Copilot prompt that we saw. Again, the reason I'm doing that is to show you various ways of doing the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to say here is a proposal, software service startup proposal. Is the business viable? Can I invest in this business? And give me reasons why and why not. That is a very interesting one. This can act as a sounding board for you and tell you, okay, can I invest in this? Should I not invest? Should I not invest? That kind of brainstorming you can do. Okay, let me attach the file. Okay, I'm going to ask it. What we are seeing in these examples is I'm interacting with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, either from those tools or from the Copilot browser. Okay, and it's giving me reasons now. It's analyzing my expenses and saying these are the expenses and summarizing the expenses. And then it is saying the income is projected into two methods. Then it's saying pros and cons, shorter sales cycle, top line growth potential, commodity resources. Cons is no differentiation from other players, low margin, high attrition. Okay, so and it's giving you the viability also. Again, don't take it as a final gospel or a Bible or a Gita that you can go ahead and do this. It's going to help you to think in this direction. It's going to give you a pointer to think.
And at the end, instead of artificial intelligence, we should also use our natural intelligence.
Absolutely. It's only going to make your life easier. See, you may not have thought this particular con. It may not struck you, but then you can start thinking on this. Or you may be able to go and address that particular point. Assuming if you are a startup founder pitching it for an investment, if your investor is going to ask this question, you will not be prepared. This will help you to prepare. You can also ask it, can you prepare 10 questions on this proposal that an angel investor is likely to ask? Okay, I can write this prompt much better also. It will give me good results. See, it's given me 10 questions that an investor is likely to ask you. It will help you to prepare better. So use these tools for your advantage.
Wonderful. So, Venkat, the kind of work Copilot does, I will say it is, the name actually fits very rightly. It pilots your dream. So it takes you off where you can ask your pilot, okay, you take me there, it is taking you there. So
correct. I'll wrap up with one example. If you permit me just a few minutes, one more minute. This is another example. I've got various resumes here. Okay. So, and I'm going to ask it to compare the resumes. It's a very interesting example. One of my favorites. So I don't want to leave without showing it. Okay. So, yeah, here is a job requirement for a master chef. Okay. We'll not go into it. Basically, it's saying what the person should be doing, etc. And there are various applicants for this job. Alice, she has some capability in Chinese. Another person, Rajesh Kumar from India with Indian cuisine and all that. So basically, I've got 5 candidates profile and a job requirement. I want to say, can you compare for this job requirement? Can you evaluate these 5 resumes and say who's most qualified for this job. That's my prompt here. Once I give it, see, it's able to give me a tabular column. Alice, what is the experience, etc. And finally, it is recommending the candidate that you should go for is John Doe, and the reason why it is John Doe.
And why others are rejected.
Correct. Wow. Imagine the time it will save you.
It's like a multiple choice question, and it gives you the answer. It also says why the answer is correct,
and
also why the other answers are wrong.
Imagine if you have to read this profile, each of the resumes, 5 of these resumes, and then you choose a one that matches your requirement very well. It saves you time. Okay, and you can read the reasons also it is saying, so you'll be able to validate it.
Amazing. And to just give you a last few lines about Copilot, it actually amazes the way and it's I will say it's a superpower, the way in which it comprehends, it understands. It is almost like a human being who understands, and I only appreciate 2 things in this: the speed and the clarity. So the clarity in the concise answer and the speed of thought. I think both these things we cannot match. As a human being, we cannot match. But that speed and clarity is required to enhance our productivity. And
correct.
AI definitely cannot replace a human being, but it can actually bring more productivity to the human beings. And that is what I understand from Venkat today. And it's you have now inspired not only me, but also more than hundreds of participants who have joined us today. And I'm sure every one of us, we'll definitely start using this Copilot from tomorrow in our office. And we'll be coming out with yet another sessions on this in the coming weeks with more focused illustrations, case studies to understand the power of AI. Day by day, AI is also getting learned, more information. And we just know one thing that thrills me is same data you have given, but the 2 PowerPoints are different. So that gives me an understanding that the AI will not throw the same answers. If in my office, my assistant gives the same answer, same input, I give, there will be definitely an improved version. So this is what thrills me and excites me to use AI tool. And I'm sure along with me, so many of us also will start using it. Thank you very much, Venkat, for joining with us today. And we'll be also joining with you in the coming weeks also with yet another fascinating session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. G. Thanks.